Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
So who's there?
who's that?
Who's there?
I heard you guys are singing happy birthday.
In Portuguese? You have to
Yes.
sing too. You have to sing with us.
Yes, please.
I can't remember the first words.
Parabéns a
Parabéns a você.
você.
60 anos.
Nesta
Felicidade,
data
querida.
querida,
Muitas
Muitas
felicidades.
felicidades.
Muitos anos de vida. Isso! Ei, opa! Opa! 60!
60 anos. 6 decades. That's a long time.
6 decades is almost 60 years.
Almost. Cool. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Coffee Conversations. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Big CEO. Welcome,
I think you can go.
Matthew.
Ciao. My singing duo is we're splitting up. We're splitting up the duo. Sunny and Cher is over.
Okay, hi, Maria.
Bye, Maria. Thank you. That was lovely. That's live now for all of human history. Thanks, Larissa.
Yes, how are you, Matthew?
I'm very well. I see you're on brand, and so am I. Sorry to my friends at Patagonia. We love you, but we're also love ourselves, and we're shameless self-promoters.
Well, good. Welcome to a conversation with me today. We are celebrating our 60th birthday as an official park. And yeah, Matthew's actually the first person I met from Gorongosa in 2014.
True.
So I'm very, very excited to talk to him today to tell us a bit about himself, about his journey in Gorongosa, about him, about coffee, anything he wants to tell us. Please tell us, who is Matt?
Thank you, Larissa. Thanks. And I appreciate the opportunity. I have been an admirer of yours since the very first day I saw you, and saw the great work you were doing in Chimoyu. And I consider your family to be my family. I don't know, there's a word for adopting, which is, a parent, adopt a child, but there's not a word for kind of forcing yourself on another family and like forcing yourself in there and like, I am part of this family. There's not really an English word for that, but we'll think of that. So just
take an opportunity to invent that word.
I will do that. And it's an exciting day today. It's an exciting day for me. It's close to a milestone for me. I've been with Gorongosa coming up on, this will be my 7th year here. So it's been a really exciting almost decade of my life, almost my entire professional life. Honestly, I've been working with Gorongosa, and it's been the greatest gift I've ever been given, and the greatest privilege I've ever had to work for this institution and work with these people like you saw Maria and yourself. So it's it's great to do that. And I try to avoid at all costs talking about myself. So I'll also do that now.
Please don't, because we want to get to know you.
Yeah.
Matthew is from where? Where are you from?
Well, I am from Southern California, sunny Southern California, and I grew up in not too far outside of Los Angeles, east of Los Angeles. And I mean, we were a type of family who never really went to national parks and didn't really have a deep engagement for nature and things like that. We were just a family trying to hustle and trying to get, trying to get to the next, the next month. But we were a family that was really pretty fun. And I think that sense of joy that I get when I'm working here in Mozambique. And in Mozambique they call it the Terra de Boa Gente. So what does that, how would you translate that to English?
Mhm.
It's like the land of the good people.
Basically the land of the good people.
Yeah. So when I came to Mozambique, I felt that I was, it's kind of like coming home. There's many things that remind me of my family here, in the way that people use, good humor to make the most of even difficult situations. So, and I had a passion
And
early
when
on
did you
for.
first come to Moz?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Sorry, when did you first come to Mozambique?
Yeah, so I came to Mozambique, and well, here's a few things about that day. I came to Mozambique. I had slightly more hair, but my hair
Good.
was actually in the back. So I had kind of this amazing mullet that I was bringing to Mozambique. I thought it would catch on here, and so far it just hasn't, which is a bit of a shame. And my first day driving through Maputo, I had no idea. Yeah, I had no idea that this would be the place where I'll spend the next decade of my life. And I started with the U.S. Peace Corps, and that was a real privilege to serve in that organization as well. And have you known Peace Corps volunteers as well?
And you've been here
in
since
Chimoio?
when?
Mm.
Yeah, we actually worked with some Peace Corps volunteers in the girls' clubs. They so the Peace Corps is divided into like different sectors, like health and education. So we worked with some education volunteers, and they came to train our promoters. So yeah.
Well, here's what I understand about Peace Corps volunteers. If anyone is listening to this and you're thinking about hiring somebody, always go for a Peace Corps volunteer, because they will work for almost no money, and they're passionate. They'll work, 7 days a week. They'll never complain, and all you have to do is provide like one hot meal a day, and they'll work 2 or 3 jobs, which was basically my Peace Corps experience. Get paid no money, work 7 days a week, like 12-hour days, and get one hot meal a day. And it was a great experience. I'm still talking about it to this day.
You do know we are talking about Gorongosa, right?
Yeah, I know, and totally. And in Gorongosa, so I did my Peace Corps service in northern Mozambique, which actually doesn't look too dissimilar from this picture of Mount Bunga behind me. It's a very rural, it's still one of the wildest places in the country besides here. And so I got my first flavor of Mozambique in the most rural and least populated, least dense province in the country. It was really a change of pace to live in a small village. If you can imagine. Yeah. And then after that,
can imagine from somewhere close to Los Angeles to the middle of nowhere. And how has your experience been during all this time?
Well, so just to continue that line of, where
Sorry,
I was going.
I think we're having
it's okay.
a bit of a delay there.
We're like 3
Go
seconds
ahead,
apart. We're like 3 seconds apart, so that's all right. So after that, I finished my service, and I got an opportunity to interview with the Gorongosa Project. And I will say this: in that moment, I did 3 interviews for some jobs, and I interviewed with 2 engineering firms who, bless them, they were very engineering type people. And then I interviewed with Gorongosa Project. And the way they sold it to me was, they said, you got to come to this project. We're changing the world. We're doing something no one's ever done. We're creating the greatest national park story that ever has been written. And, you know, they gave me the whole sales pitch, and I totally fell for it. I was like, really? I need to do that. I was so excited, you know, and I had no idea where I was going to live. I didn't really have a job description. It said, I remember distinctly my first contract. It said, Matthew Jordan said, we'll work. It didn't say we'll work for food, but it was almost there. It said, we'll work on these projects. And then it said the details of the work, your work will be described in Appendix A. And I've actually never received an Appendix A. I don't know. I'm still waiting for that email to come.
You made your own appendix, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right. You have to write your own appendix. So that was close to 7 years ago. And right now, my primary role is all around focused on livelihoods. Everything we're doing here is trying to push the needle forward on creating sustainable livelihoods. And you know this as well as I do because you spend significant amount of time in the Gorongosa buffer zone. The folks in the buffer zone, the majority are making less than $2 a day. The majority. Our goal is to play the long game and to try to create a buffer zone where the majority of people are making, you know, over $8 a day, which is essentially a teacher's salary, which is what I made in Nyasa. So that's really our mission in terms of livelihoods. And those livelihoods that we create, we want them to be livelihoods that promote conservation. And not conservation for its own sake, but conservation for the sake of biodiversity, for the sake of ecosystem services, for the sake of having a experience in nature that is transformative to children, to adults, to people of all ages, you know, and in all classes and in all races. And I think that if you come to Gorongosa, that's the one universality that we have here, is that when you visit the park, when you're physically standing on the floodplain, it changes you. And I've seen it many times. I've seen it, and I'm sure, you know, you've also felt that.
Yeah. And what does this birthday mean to you personally and professionally?
Thanks. Well, what I know is this. Right now, our team is in Maputo, and they're with they were with the president of the Republic of Mozambique, and they were with ambassadors from my country, the United States, and they were with ambassadors from other countries, and they were celebrating the life of Gorongosa, so the life of the animals, the life of the people, and they were celebrating the model of Gorongosa. And the model of Gorongosa says we don't have to compromise on human upliftment and conservation protection. We don't have to compromise. That's the Gorongosa promise, is that we can do both, and we don't have to have one or the other. And that's the dream of Mandela. That's the dream of Chissano. I think that's Greg Carr's dream since I've known him. And for you and for myself and for Maria, we've all been indoctrinated, and you know, we believe it. You know, we really do. And when I first came on, I didn't know. I did not understand how these things work. And what has changed is that 6 years, you know, almost 7 years, I've been here literally in the buffer zone working with people. And I cannot I cannot deny what my own eyes have seen, which is transformational change of people's lives. you know, and and particularly my passion has been on Mount Gorongosa because it's been an area with such a high um, such a high, how do I say it? There's so many challenges, and there's so much beauty, and there's so much reasons for intervention. I think you might be frozen. No, I'm just talking to a frozen person. I don't know if I don't mind talking to myself. It's not much different. So that's fine. Okay, there, you're back. Okay. Yeah, so I can, sometimes funny, I can just talk about myself, talk about. So it looks like I am flying solo, and I'll just wrap up here with my own thoughts, and then maybe there's some questions that can come in. But my own experience, what I've seen with my own eyes, and what I've felt in my heart is that that this is a time for celebration, because we have been walking the long road here. Hi, welcome back, Larissa. We've been walking the long road here, and it took 5-6 years, and eventually there was a
I'm
peace
back.
treaty that was signed. Hi, Larissa. Sorry, I'm just basically dictating. I'm giving a speech now. So it took 5 years.
I can
We
see
ended up
that.
getting. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna finish
today,
that thought.
so
Okay,
go
thank
ahead.
you. So here's what I was gonna say, that it took 5-6 years, and it's taken people a lot longer than that. But this is just my own involvement. But it's taken many years, and I was there. I was sitting in the park when Mamadi and President Nussi signed the peace treaty. I was there, and I saw our friends from the mountain come down, and I saw that. I literally physically was there. And now I'm seeing around us the demilitarization happening. I'm physically seeing human beings bringing in guns and turning them over, and I'm seeing.
You don't have to emphasize physically.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's real. It's not something I'm reading, and for me, that's made a big difference in my life to realize the impossible is possible. To see a situation that is, when you see deforestation on the mountain, when you see the conditions of young girls around the park, when you see some of these things, many people feel discouraged. And what this model, what Gorongosa has let me do is really believe in something, and believe in a radical type of optimism, because the change it comes. It comes. It only takes an incredible amount of hard work. It takes a lot of faith, I think, for people around this buffer zone. We work in our program, we're working with 5,000 to 10,000 farmers. And here's something that I think is interesting, and I see a great question, so I'll answer it. But a lot of these folks came on to coffee and to cashew and to honey on total faith. Our guys out there were talking to them, and they're saying, "Hey, we think that this could bring some, this could really make a change, and really, help to create a sustainable, livelihood." And they took it on faith, and then they started doing it, and then they started realizing it. And I don't think, we as me myself, I don't think I acknowledge that or really really say that enough, that these folks around the buffer zone are taking it on faith, and that takes courage. And I think that I really respect that. So that's what the 60 years means for me. Okay, so here's some questions. Maybe I should answer these.
No way. I'm still asking you questions.
Boom.
So you were saying that your whole speech about how people took faith And I think you are a great example of that. You started in the park as a young scientist, and today you are a big coffee project CEO. So I wanted you to tell us a bit about your journey in Gorongosa.
Okay, thanks for that question. That has been my opportunity to serve in this organization. I came and I was so open that I said, I'll do anything. I'll sweep the floors. I have literally swept the floors, but I don't want to do that as
We
my
all
job,
have.
Yeah, right. That's the thing. You always have to do it, get what needs getting done. So, yeah, my journey. I think the greatest thing that I've brought to this organization has been my ability to show up. During the cyclone, I was here. I was in that factory. I was there. It was raining. I was scared, but I was there. I was there after the cyclone to help deliver, essential services. You were there. You and I were on the phone trying to get trucks into this factory to get food out to people. I was here during the conflict. I was here when there was shots being fired right around the corner. I was here when the economic crisis happened. I was here when there was flooding in Yamatanda, and I was here when there was a plague of worms attacking everyone's crops. And I just keep showing up. And I think that's the feedback that I've gotten from the team, is that we came up together. Right now I'm leading a team of about 100 people here, and we all came up together. And they see my role very much as leading from behind. I'm pushing folks to go forward. And the two things I think I do more than anything is I remove obstacles, and I try to push folks to get where they got to go. And I think that's really been, those have been the things that I brought to this role. And as a result, I've always been there when they're handing out promotions, and they just keep giving me work. So I just keep doing it. I don't know. At some point, I have to stop. I have to tell them I can't do any more stuff. There's not enough hours in the day.
Sorry. I know, and it's good when somebody is able to say, "Hey, I go so far," but at the same time, you're doing your best at whatever you already have in hand. So I think that's very important. And people saw that it says that you are the CEO of the coffee project, and at the same time you are a director here in Gorongosa. So can you explain to us these two different roles? What is happening in the United States, and what is happening here?
That's a great question, and that's something that we are. We're building. Someone said this to me today. I really liked it. We're building the boat as we're going with a few of these things. So there's a big vision, and our ideas, and our job is to put all the pieces in as we go along, and fill in the blank spots between here and a world in which there's people around the buffer zone making $8 a day. That's what we're doing. And so what we've identified is this: in order to get to that $8 a day, you've got to have enabling conditions on the ground, which means access to credit, increased yields, access to markets, better practices, inclusivity. You've got to have these enabling conditions, or you're not going to get inclusive change. So that's where the human development work and the sustainable development work comes in. And that's a team of 100 people here. We're working with 10,000 farmers and families, and that number is growing. Our target is about 50,000 at one, in some future date. And we really want to move the needle on the ground here. Now, what we discovered is, because of all these shocks, and I mentioned a couple of them, and I wasn't exaggerating. There's plagues, and there's global pandemics. But before COVID, we were dealing with cyclones and all sorts of things. So because of those conditions, the risk to economic investment has been really high. And so attracting investment here has been really challenging. So what we did is, we luckily have a very business mindset to our organization. So we took the human development conservation, and we added a third component, which is private sector. And 90% or something of all jobs in the whole world are private sector jobs. So if you're trying to help a community of 200,000 people make $8 a day, you're gonna have to engage the private sector. And in fact, it's the private sector that's gonna have to hire everyone. That's just, you know, that's the reality of how you really make a difference in economic change. So that's been my task, is starting with the base, starting with the enabling conditions. We work on that, and then we work up the value chain. And so we've got the farmers. We're working with farmers. We're pumping people up, and then we're trying to create markets. We're being intermediaries, and so we've created these for-profit pillars. And there's only three, so it's not complicated. It's forestry, tourism, and agribusiness. Agri-forestry, we'll call it agribusiness. And these three pillars really represent a sustainable economic engine for Sofala. Think about that. Think about having, you know, we're about to build this cashew factory, and we could be hiring, you know, 300 women in the next 2 years. I mean, you know, we'll be hiring more people, but cashew.
So in summary, Matt, you are leading.
I'm leading. Yes. I am leading. Was there a follow? Was there a second part to that question?
So let's, hello?
Yeah, gotcha. Well, Larissa might be paused for a second. I see a question. I'm just gonna take it. So is that okay, Larissa? I see you back. So here's a question.
Yes,
It says,
please do.
Q1 from Kathy. What was the biggest adjustment for you moving from the US to Mozambique, and how has it changed you as a person? My biggest adjustment, I think being a foreigner, a stranger in a strange land, so has been a big adjustment. And I'll say it in the simplest way I can phrase it. You lose your ability to be anonymous. There's no other way to say it, and and I think it's the fundamental change of living here is I have no anonymity here. I walk around and I stand out, and I get called out all the time or whatnot. So I'm the foreigner here, even in my local community. And it's been a big change. Some really interesting things and really great things, and some things that are challenging. So there's trade-offs. And I think me as a person, what is done is, like, I have a deep appreciation for my country. And I know there's a lot of challenges in my country. I fully understand that. I fully acknowledge that deeply. But I love my country. I mean, I fundamentally, I live in this country now and part-time in that country.
Patriotic.
And it's really, me as a person, it was one of the things that, a big change that happened for me, where I understood some of the challenges we're having there, but I also understood some of the positives, which when you're in it, it's hard to see some of them. So that was just my personal experience.
So what you're saying is being called a Muzungu hasn't been a good experience.
So quando disseram Muzungu bonito. That's what I like, you know? Question
Let's
2.
move on to the second question. It's from Kelly. She says, Matt, what do you envision for the next 5 years? I know that it's hard to answer given the environment you're in. Great.
That's the most exciting thing, is that I spent the last 6 years basically doing pilots and trying to prove that this model works. And now people believe in us. They went in on faith, you know, especially our partners like USAID and countries like Ireland and Norway, and all of our partners, the Oak Foundation, HHMI, they all went in on faith that what we're doing is the right thing. And after 5 years, they're coming to us and say, we believe in what you're doing now. You've proven what you're doing. And now is the time that we scale up the pilots. And we want to go from 5 people to 50,000 farmers. You know, we want to go from, you know, creating 100 jobs to creating 500 jobs. And we want to go from 100 hectares of coffee to 1,000 hectares of coffee. And that's just about hanging on. You know, when you go to scale, you can make real difference. You can finally start moving the needle for thousands of people, not just for dozens. And I think that is the most exciting thing that I'll ever do in my life. You know, it's exciting. So that's my projection for the next 5 years, just to hang on. It's like a galloping horse. One more question.
Yeah, and yes, one more question from Melissa. She says, how does Gorongosa coffee travel from the park all the way to my home in Wisconsin?
That's the coolest question ever.
Good question.
That's a great question ever. And I'll say just 2 small things, because I know time is time. So the first thing
you have 2 minutes, please.
Okay. The first thing is we want to actually tell that story. So please, you know, stay tuned. It's as cheesy as that might sound. Stay tuned. We hope to get some of our storytellers, and it might even be Michelle's, or it might even be Larissa's sister Michelle who does this, but we're gonna find somebody who follows the coffee all the way, which is really exciting. And I hope to do that. The short answer is we pack it up in that factory right there, you know, the team, we put in these bags. Our bags, we really need to redesign them, but
you know that people can see the actual factory from here, right?
There's a factory right there, yeah. And then it goes into these containers, and then they get on a boat, just like, you know, days of old, and they sail across the sea, and it lands in the port in, these ones landed in Oakland. I want to say Oakland, it might be Seattle, but they landed in Oakland. They got off the thing. Luckily, they survived, and they were in great shape. Then they got shipped over to Boise, Idaho, and they were roasted in Boise with our amazing roasting team. And then they were put in a package. And Larissa's literal sister, is in the factory in Boise right now with a face mask on.
I don't have a sister. I don't know what you're talking about.
Your sister, Michelle Sosa, is there, and she packaged it, and she put it in a box for to send to Wisconsin.
Melissa.
That literally happened. That happened.
Thank you for that very short summary of how coffee gets from the mountain up to wherever you are. Well, thank you very much, Matthew. This was very interesting. And as you said, it's simply how to see that very soon. Today we have a winner, as usual. Can we have some drum rolls? Today's winner is Melissa. Well done, Melissa. So you're going to get another coffee in Wisconsin, which comes all the way from Gorongosa. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We are wishing everybody all the best. Happy 60th birthday, everyone. All the stuff, everyone who's been making this dream come true. Thank you, Matthew, for being here today as our guest. Thank you. Stay well, in very good taste. Bye.
Okay, ciao.